So we now caught a glimpse of the Resident Evil 4 remake. It's official. We got a quick little teaser at the last state of play. We know it has a release date of March 2023. And I thought it was a good time to talk about specifically what I would like to see with Resident Evil 4. Now, I'm a huge fan of the series. All the ups and downs, the shifts, for sure. I grew up playing from day one, the original Resident Evil game. So my heart is in it, damn it. Then this is a really interesting thing because I very much still kind of feel strongly that I don't think Resident Evil 4 technically needed to be remade. It's available on all the platforms. It runs smooth as butter. You can still play it to this day, and I think it's aged pretty well. I actually did a whole video last summer, 2021, talking about replaying it. I played through the whole thing again after a million times, after so many years, and it's still just pretty much really holds up. So with that aside, the remake is happening, out of our control. So with that, I am embracing it because it's like an unpopular opinion, but I do tend to like some remakes. I don't look at it as the game industry running out of ideas. I like to see different takes, different spins, different updates on things that I already love, especially is it gonna be better than the original? No, probably not, but I'll take a nice new ride. It's fun to just see what's different. And they have very much specifically clarified that this is going to be different. I want to use some of their words, specifically preserving the essence of the original game, make the game feel familiar to fans of the series while providing a fresh feeling to it, reimagining the storyline of the game while keeping the essence of its direction, modernizing the graphics, and updating the controls to a modern standard. So you could tell right from the teaser, right, that the tone is different. Everything is darker. It looks like they're leaning more into the horror part and less of the wacky zany part. And I am interested in that. That to me makes this remake valuable because it does go in a little bit of a different shift. It is a little bit of a different interpretation. If you watch a lot of Resident Evil videos, you know I'm not really the first person to point this out, but the original Resident Evil 4 that they were working on was a little bit spookier, a little bit slower, and I actually get some of that vibe here. But for me, dude, the main thing is, and I said this in my video from a year ago about replaying the game, is that Resident Evil 4 knows how to open with a bang, like a fucking metric shit ton bang. The opening of that game is so tense, so incredible, right up until from walking up to that first house, meeting the creepy dude, getting attacked, the beautiful woods, running through the woods, finding the town, finding the dead police officer, the town turns on you, chainsaw guy shows up, it gets so desperate, and just when you're stretched out, everybody leaves, Leon makes a joke, Resident Evil 4. If they can nail the opening, if they can really do that again, but maybe even make it even crazier, then I'll play that, and if they nail the intro, I'll be confident in the rest of the game moving forward, because I think that intro is so incredibly well done, from the sound design, the music, one of my favorite shots ever that I've mentioned before, the close-up on Leon's eyes as he's looking out the window, hearing the villagers take out the car, it's so incredible top to bottom that I think if they handle that, they can handle a lot of other moments. The other thing I would like to see is maybe a little bit more story setup, lead up, where in the original it pretty much just drops you right in. There's a quick exposition thing at the start, then Hunnigan's telling you a bunch of stuff, that's it. I would like a little bit more expansion, a little bit more just a build up of Leon and how he is changed from the events of Resident Evil 2. How did he really become the badass from here to there? Obviously there are expanded Resident Evil things that kind of give us more of an ink to that, but Resident Evil 4 is the perfect place to kind of give us some of that. Also, it would help to highlight a little bit more, for at least for random players or not super hardcore players to be oh, Leon is just down with the president of the United States, and then he's got to save his daughter. Also, the fact that Umbrella just kind of is no longer a thing, and they very quickly write it off with a sentence or two at the start. They could do a little more with that, and I think a lot of people agree, Umbrella deserves a little more than that. Again, it's another thing that is fleshed out in other games, but for a mainline entry, I think there's room to squeeze a little more in there. Now, tonally, like I said, things seem darker, things seem pretty cool. The buildings, everything we've gotten to see does look actually a little bit more like Spain, which is cool. The fact that the teaser started with a little flair of cultural music, I think is cool. I would like to see them lean into that more, because the original Resident Evil 4 didn't quite have that, other than the characters speaking to you in a foreign language, and I think there's a lot more that they could do here, especially with just the fact that they really have the opportunity to make that setting, you know, be the culture, the horror vibe, the darkness, to be like more of an iconic thing. I actually think that they can top Resident Evil 4 in that regard if they really just double down on that. And then the other thing, okay, Jake's gonna talk about Resident Evil 4 woods again, but it's my favorite thing, okay? The original game, the original Resident Evil 4, when you get out of that car right at the start, you're walking through that woods, that dead woods, those thin trees in the fall, that's something that not a lot of video games have really been able to showcase well. That, to me, I guess, like from the region of where I live, that's a convincing woods. That's the woods that I see. Obviously, it's a little stylized, but they really need to nail that fall dead woods vibe here. And it's hard to tell from the teaser we got. Like, you see some dense foliage, really impressive stuff, but I just hope it's not overly done. I hope that they can keep the subtlety of that plain woods with the skinny dead trees, because it is so unique and so iconic. So like little things like that, I would like to, for them to retain. Gameplay is interesting, right? Because, the controls take a minute to get used to, but then it's like almost modern, like Resident Evil 2 Remake, aiming down sights, like over the shoulder, third person stuff. Like, if it just plays like that, that's fine. I actually don't think that's going to be a huge difference other than being able to move more. So I wonder how the gameplay is actually going to feel different. Is it going to feel different where you have Resident Evil 2 to Resident Evil 2 Remake, which feels like a night and day, Resident Evil 4 to Resident Evil 4 Remake with possibly the controls of Resident Evil 2 Remake isn't that big of a jump. So the way I look at it is like, are these encounters going to feel the same? Are these boss battles going to feel that similar? I don't know. I wonder if they're going to change things up. How's El Gigante going to go down? Like, is that going to be a thing? I think it comes down to like, how wacky are they going to go with this? How horror are they going to keep it? And how zany, wild, crazy horror are they going to go with this? Like, are we going to face the same types of creatures and abominations and Las Plagas mutations? I don't know for sure, but just little glimpses here and there. At least we get to see really cool looking zealots. I think they look absolutely incredible here. They're a little scary. We only got little glimpses of the castle stuff and really no glimpses of the last third of the game where things go really freaking crazy. And that's where I know I definitely confidently want this to be an uncompromising game, because I don't want this remake to lose steam towards the end where things get really buck wild, and then all of a sudden they're like, that's too much, that's too expensive to do some crazy fucking murder assault on Murder Island with zombies and have all these other insane creatures and all these weird battles. I think it needs to have a lot of that. I understand them kind of shrinking some things down or twisting some things, but I don't want it to end up like Resident Evil 3, where it felt too short. I liked Resident Evil 3 Remake, but it just felt a little cut short. So I'm really hoping that Capcom is taking this one seriously. Resident Evil 4 is like one of their biggest, most insane heavy hitters. So I hope that they're allowing the developers to really give this thing everything. One thing they can definitely do is update the character models, because there are 3 in Resident Evil 4. There's like 4 villagers, and it's so funny when you're fighting and like you shoot at one bad guy and then you turn around and like he's there again, but it's not him, it's another one. That was like pretty embarrassing even for the time. So I really hope that they can definitely expand on that. And I mean, with the graphics, it's really exciting because, again, like we get this possibly a little bit more different tone. We get to see characters totally expanded. We get to see, like a new Ada Wong, new Louise. We get to see Wesker for the first time in this RE engine, which excites me a lot, probably a little bit too much. But again, I think it all comes down to just like, how far are they going to go? Are we going to have Leon in slow motion, quick time event, dodging the laser lines in the hallway? Are we going to have the Krauser knife fight? Are we going to have some of this insane shit? Are we going to have the big showdown at the end with Leon in bulletproof armor and an RPG? Like, are we going to go that hard? I think we might. If they tweak it a little bit, I wouldn't be surprised, but like the end of the Resident Evil 2 remake and really the end of the Resident Evil 3 remake did go pretty insane with the action. So, I'm hopeful, but again, I'm like, what will be different with the gameplay? Will it be harder, more survival horror-y, more actiony. Like, are we gonna have buttons for like Leon's cool moves? Is there gonna be like an actual kick, but like an actual like roundhouse kick button now? I don't know. I think there's got to be a little bit something here. But just talking about it, I can't help but be pretty excited. Again, I want it to be as uncompromising as possible. I don't care if it's somewhat different. They've stated that it's going to be a little different, but as long as it doesn't really compromise on, you know, like what they said, the essence of it, like the weirdness, the zaniness of it, I still would like to see it embrace the horror, the dark, like more taking place at night more than anything, but still not forgetting where it came from. And I still want to point this out. If you're watching this and you've never played Resident Evil 4, this is like a very, very strong, like, you should still play it. It's not going anywhere. Like, you can play it on any platform that you're using. And I think that it is going to be feeling significantly different. And it's a very special thing and it was like almost like lightning in a bottle. You know, it went through some changes and it just ended up becoming this weird, insane thing that for a lot of Resident Evil fans at the time at first was like hard to, like, it's like, we're like, what is this? But it was like a perfect storm of combination, from the direction to a lot of the design to the new gameplay to just the weird moments that just made it this unforgettable thing. So again, I'm not looking for this to beat this. I'm looking for a different spin on this, but I still highly recommend you play the original because it's downright incredible. It is definitely the point where Resident Evil went full on crazy train mode, but still, it's something. So that's really it. You guys know I'm obsessed with Resident Evil. I'm looking forward to, you know, a little bit more being revealed, but really just jumping into the game and judging for myself, because that's what I do here. I just hope, you know, no compromises, maybe not like shortened. Don't, you know, I'm repeating myself at this point, but I just love Resident Evil, so I want to hear what you guys think about this. Are you like me, where you like you're going into it not looking for it to top the original? I think that's better, but everybody has a different approach, a different feeling. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about anything Resident Evil 4 Remake. What are you looking forward to seeing the most? Is it a specific location? Is it the castle? Is it, you know, some puzzles being redone or an enemy type? Like, what are you hyped to see the most in this new engine or in this new presentation format? Because I think there are some creatures and some moments that they can make way more scary. Just saying, I got a couple in mind. So let me know what you're thinking. I want to hear from you. Let's talk about this stuff. If you like what I'm trying to do here, I'm just talking about stuff I love. I'm just yapping. Click the like button, hang out, subscribe, hit the thing. I won't spam you with videos. And I am going to be talking about all the gaming news in June. It's going to be a fun one. So that's it. I'm Jake Baldino. Thanks for watching. Subscribe because video games.